There is a lot of wisdom out there in the universe. There are so many wise people, just walking amongst us every single day. And sometimes you need some of that wisdom. But in spite of how much wisdom there is, here living today on Earth, there's even more wisdom contained in the eons that came before us, in the people who are no longer with us. Now, what am I not saying in this video? I feel like I always need to clarify what I'm not saying because there's just so many people in my comment sections who are just trying to disparage me at every turn and paint me as crazy for just saying literal facts. They try and argue with me, and it's just so obnoxious. It's just so annoying. So what am I not saying with this video? I am not saying the next time you get a flat tire that you shouldn't just look at it. You shouldn't just Google it, and you should instead, call up Joan of Arc and ask, how do I fix a flat tire? That's not what I'm saying. That is not what I'm saying. Instead, what I'm saying is the next time you have a really deliberate, difficult decision, don't feel like you're a burden. Don't feel like you can't just, call up someone who would have a lot of insight about that. If you're having, you're a mechanic and you're having car troubles, don't feel like you can't, hit up Henry Ford. If you're, having a really hard physics exam, don't feel like you can't ask Albert Einstein. These are totally normal things to be doing. And these people, what are they doing up there? You think they're always constantly preoccupied in heaven, all these talented, famous people? Not really. I mean, God, she's doing everything in heaven already. So their talents aren't really getting put to use. So they don't really have anything to do except for, just be on the line and answer you and call you. They're basically just like a tech support up there. Isn't that kind of crazy to think about? But yeah, so anyways, now that, yeah, so this is a skill. This is a pretty useful skill, and you can use this in a lot of different situations. And it's just gonna put you a step ahead of, anyone else. Just think of, all the teachers out there. There's just even more knowledge you're going to have access to, even more diverse perspectives. Diversity is a strength, and this is why, but the dead are never included in these sorts of discussions about diversity. Whatever. So, how do you contact these people? How do you do this? This seems impossible. If you haven't ventured into this world before, how is this even like a thing? This doesn't make any sense. So, what are we looking for first? First and foremost, we are looking for, well, think of it as a phone call. Think of it as a phone call. Firstly, you have to make the phone call. You have to start the phone call. The other person has to hear the phone call, and they have to pick up. Now, you can't control if they pick up. I mean, obviously, if you're like a loser, then they're not going to pick up. If you don't have like something interesting, or if you phone them for the 15th time asking a stupid question, then they're not going to pick up. But if you're, it's mostly something you can't control. But if you, as long as you're not like a complete loser, they're probably going to pick up. Yeah, and they don't have much to do. They want to be helpful. They're most of these are good people. You can't ask. It is hard to get questions out of the Genghis Khans of the past because of course they're a little less amenable to helping strangers. But a lot of the other people you would think were good in the past. Like the Abraham Lincolns. They're more than down to be amenable and helpful and whatever. Blah blah blah. So anyways, so you need to basically set up the phone call. And then you need to make sure make sure they hear the phone call, and then of course they need to answer the phone call. So how do I set up the phone call? Well, think of heaven as having, it's not like in heaven they have no. You think of heaven as like they're watching what's happening to us on Earth as like a zoo. They see all of it, and so you can kind of think of like every single thought and feeling, every single action you do is kind of just being written down in a ledger, and everyone can see it. Yes, that is if you were doing like really weird, like freaky, like sex shit, that yes, people in heaven are seeing that. There's a lot of other stuff. They're probably not honing in on you, but yes, they can see that if they want. It's kind of like if all of your like search history, if everyone's search history, tomorrow got leaked, only like your family members are probably looking into it. Not like people aren't just looking up random strangers and seeing what they're Googling, but it is something they could do if they wanted to. So yeah. So that's just a word of advice. In just your day-to-day life, yes, people are watching you. God, she is seeing all of it too. She's constantly watching everyone because she's omnipotent. So whatever. Anyways, think of it then as when something interesting has happened, when there's a moment of distress, people are more likely to pay attention. If there's like a war happening, of course people are going to be paying more attention there than like a science exam. And so basically you need to kind of create a crisis, not a crisis per se, but you need to just bottle up a lot of intense emotion into a certain area that's going to make people want to pay more attention. Emotional crises are honestly sometimes even more interesting than like physical crises in a sense. So basically you want to bubble up a physical crisis, a tense spirit of emotion, that's going to, call people's attention. That's the phone call. That is sending out the phone call. Then you're going to page the person. You're basically going to say, you're going to think their name over and over again, or, probably more effectively, say their name out loud. So I'm going to be like, well, actually, I'll just do an example right here. So I think I've just explained the steps pretty thoroughly right here. So I'm going to, focus on a pretty negative, and usually, if you have like a crisis that you need the person to help you with, you can kind of focus on, oh, it'd be so bad if, I couldn't, if I can't figure out what school to go to, whatever. You can, you just kind of meditate on this. Try and think of a really, really powerful emotion. I'm going to choose, let's just think of a random person through history. I'm going to choose, no, I shouldn't do that. I'm going to do Cleopatra. I'm going to do Cleopatra. I don't think she's canceled, so I think this will work out. Okay, so basically, I am just going to first, meditate on an extremely negative emotion to try and, draw attention to myself. Yeah, okay. Okay. I've all enough of the motion. Now I'm just going to say Cleopatra. 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 Oh. Contact. Hello, Cleopatra. I just wanted to say hi. I am filming a video about channeling spirits. I'm so sorry for using your time. Thank you for all you did for history, for seducing the two Caesars, and for ruling Egypt. Thank you for your time. Thank you. Okay, you can go now. Whew, okay. That's it. You just saw me literally commune with one of the most famous people in all of history that everyone's heard of. And you could literally just, I'm obviously a little more experienced in how to do it, but you could, did any of that look a little too hard for you to pull off? I don't think so. So I hope this is just, add another toolkit to your super intelligence toolbox. Another tool to your super intelligence toolbox. I hope this has added this. I hope you try this at home. Try it tonight. I've always been choosing abstract famous people in history. You can probably talk to a relative. Obviously people who are more famous and more remembered are more likely to they have stronger spirits in heaven. So it might not work on your grandma. Just to, in case if it doesn't work on your grandma, it's kind of a sign that you haven't been loving her enough after her death. That's a totally different story. Whatever. So anyways, I hope you try this out and give people a call up in heaven. They love to answer. Most people were good. Most people were good people in history. They love to answer. They love to talk to the living. Whatever. Okay, bye-bye.